Happy Friday, everybody. It is January 12th, 2024, and we're here at precisealgorithmtrading.com. So, this is our weekend review, and I've got a few things to go through. So, let's get right to it. The automated trading systems today, the Dow, sideways to. Let's take a look. We got to look at the individual trades. 112, so we went up a little bit. We went up a little bit and then down, uh, you know, slightly. So that's really what that's showing, is that last little up there, because we had a bigger up yesterday at the end of the day, and then a little bit of a down. So literally, that's the end of the day yesterday, and then the two trades that went with it. So this thing literally does, it trades in and out all day long, and you get what you get, and it's all based on probabilities and math, and really the long-term equity curve, which is what this is. So um, it's got a whole setup that's based on a lot of different parameters, and then you put those parameters together and optimize them, and then you turn it on and turn it off during the day. Turn it on in the morning, and then it starts to trade automatically at a preset time when the markets have been open for a little bit, and then it closes before the market closes for the end of the day. And this is what you get. This is the equity. So, and this is the net result after, I think, 15 months, if you catch that up there. This is the last 6 months, and they do um, almost always mirror each other. I won't say always. There are some anomalies, but uh, they're rare, and it doesn't affect really anything. So it's just computers, and sometimes computers are not completely reliable. So then we get into, this is the Russell, and we got a new peak day today on our equity. So it's new peak profit in the Russell, and we've basically undergone another pullback, which that's typical. You get them along the way. That's what these are. And this one was deeper, and this one back here was even deeper still. I'm still working on really unwinding some of that to try to get rid of some of the depth. But anyways, this is good news. It's a nice new peak today, and the trades, actually just one trade today. So, and it's a good thing because the NASDAQ went down a little bit after we've had a nice solid gain here in the last week or so, because of volatility finally kicked in. So today's trades unwound some of that. That's a lot of trades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trades. And you can see we had some nice kick back up here in the last couple days, and this has kind of unwound some of that. Looks like the big trade from the other day is off the chart. That's this one. But look back here, and you get these big kicks and these little pullbacks. So I'm hoping that's what we're in for, that kind of a cycle, because it happens back here too. So it's just the way this one's built. And then if you look at the longer term equity curve, I mean, it does have these pullbacks. And this one's deeper than this one and lasted a lot longer. But hopefully we're coming out of that. And ultimately, what you want is a nice upward sloping, gently upward sloping equity curve, and that is what we have. We're just having to get back up and going again here, and you have to be patient through the markets. All right, the Thinkorswim. This is the E-mini futures for the S&P 500. The symbol is a /ES up there. And the my thesis here is really that we put in our lower low right here because this is the hourly chart on the right hand side. Look at the yellow dots, and they're really peaks. Um, they're little minor peaks, and then they have major ones that are tied together by this zigzag tool. And you can see from that peak to the next low, we basically were going up with higher highs, higher lows, or equal highs and equal lows. And then we came up and we put in a higher high, we came down, we put in a lower low than this one. We came up, put in a higher high, and what we're doing now is just kind of walking back and forth until it picks a direction. It's either going to break higher up here, and if this is consolidation, in a lot of cases sometimes it'll consolidate here, and it's just trying to gain steam to get up there. What I wanted to do though is over here on the left hand chart, open up some parameters, go to the time axis, make this 20 bars, expansion off to the right. That does that. And then take some drawing tools with you guys and tie these dots together. That dot to that dot, and then let it expand to the right. And then this dot to that dot, and let that expand to the right. And this is a theoretical way that this stock might walk, and it's as crazy as that sounds. I could give you back studies where this works, and ultimately what's going to happen is, because this one's an upward sloping pattern, which I could arguably change the pattern to even slope deeper, and I'll show you why, because I think it's worth doing. We'll go back here and click this one and stick it to that one, and then we'll extend that one to the right. I'm going to get rid of this line because I think that's probably better. And this pattern will resolve most of the time before it hits this crossover right here where these two lines come together. And at this point, even if it breaks out higher, it's got this price action to contend with. It can't continue to go higher very well because it's going to be up here against these resistance lines that, even if they become support, they end up acting really, it acts really weird up here. I guess what I'm trying to say is I think we're going to, even if we continue to walk sideways, we're going to hit this line and we're going to break lower. And then the typical thing that will happen is you break lower and then you come back up and retest it, and you can see it over and over when that stuff happens. If I was to draw a line back here, you could actually see where price comes up and retests it, and it actually made it on that wick that day of that candle, came down, and then it never came back up to that line again. If you saw the imaginary line I'm drawing there. Well, this stuff happens over and over in these charts, and my point is I still think we've got this destiny down here somewhere in this territory to be able to pull back. We will see, but I'm going to leave those on there for fun. And I'm also going to go over to the Russell right now because it's already kind of doing what I'm talking about. Its destiny line is down here, and we've come down, we've pulled up. It looks to me like we could actually still pull up a little bit more, and before we fall, it's going to get there. All the idea of the market, or the job of the market, overall is to try to get as many people on the wrong side of the trade so that it can go the other direction. And if it's starting to continue to act bullish and then it rolls over bearish, that would be what the kind of thing that it would take. And also, if you notice these indicators like this one in the middle, the EMAs, when these things come to a point like this, they tend to roll over. Well, this one is at that point. And even if you go back here, it was at that point. The stochastics was low, and so a bunch of people want to get on board thinking, well, I'm oversold, so this thing's going to reverse. Well, it does, but not until it falls, and then it's putting in a new lower high before it rolls over. Well, over here, we are in that lower reversal zone almost. It looks to me like it, I mean, if I wasn't seasoned, it would be a place where you just want to jump in and go, well, it's going to go higher eventually here, and I can take a little heat. Well, what it's going to do, what it looks like to me, is similar to what it did back there, and it'll just continue to go lower, and then it'll come up and put in a higher, lower high. This orange line's already painted, so it'll come down. I'm not saying this thing's going to unwind terribly. I'm just saying the institutions will get interested if we get back here into these types of levels, and that way we have had a breakout from what was an obvious downtrend to going up to a new obvious uptrend in a short term, what I think is going to be an obvious downtrend again. And in basic wave theories, this could be one up, two down, and ultimately this two down is going to be multiple waves down, and then a three up that could absolutely blow the lid off this high peak right here, and we can go on to new highs. That's a lot to say we're unwinding right now for the short term, and in the long term I think I'm pretty bullish. In the short term I'm relatively bearish, and have to sit on my hands. There's a lot of the positions I have on are, you know, they all have stops. They're all mostly bullish, and all I got to do is let them stop out or continue to go higher. So for instance, and they're not all that way, just most of them are. Let's look at one like this one. Um, you know, it's from a wave count standpoint, you can see we had uh, obvious lower highs and lower lows. That's a downtrend coming into new high breakout. This pivot here broke above this previous pivot, and then a pullback, and now we've broken higher. So we're in potential higher highs and higher lows situation. I guess I shouldn't say potential because we're there. And we got earnings right here too. So I'm actually, because I'm profitable in this position, I'm not going to give it a lot of room to the downside. I'm actually flipping over here to the hourly chart, and I will start managing that same theory of wave counts up. You know, if we start to unwind, which that is a lower low right there, if we start to unwind and we break that lower low, then to the downside, then that's going to be my stop, is the way I'm seeing it right now. So which is why I have an alert set right there for when I know that this line gets broke to the downside. So that's a lot to tell you, and I'm going to keep moving. The YM today, it's the Dow, is still walking up here in the upper zone. This is just enough to get everybody going, well, it's not going to roll over, so I might as well just pile in, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're going to get a washout, I think. The NASDAQ, and by the way, that sounds brutal. You can see the YM actually had a minus 179 points today, and it's not very much on a chart, and it sounds brutal that the market would literally try to take you underwater. Well, it does that, and the reason being is the ones that know and that take advantage of that action are the ones that'll make the money, and everybody else is going to be the ones that pay the ones that made the money. So it is brutal. don't hate the player, hate the game. So, and then here's the NASDAQ, obviously walking higher highs and higher lows. This one's come down pretty deep. You can see it came down deeper than this one. This last one didn't come down deep enough. It would have been the halfway point between there, and it didn't come down that deep. So this thing can come all the way down, even down here or here. Now that it's probably 50% of the total move, it can come all the way into this zone anywhere and still put in what would be a higher low from back here. So, and then we could take off and still make higher highs. So I hope that's not confusing, but the truth of the matter is you can have these more complex patterns that can still resolve to the upside, or if you want to reverse it, you can play the same way to the downside. All right, oil today was up 0.55% on the USO, up 1.03% on the futures contract. So oil, again, I think this 30 period moving average, the red line, is flattening out, and so trade from this level, it was flattening out back here too, but then it sunk a little bit more, but it's not going down like as fast as it used to. So we're leveling out here, and our trade's on. It looks like this. Our stop's in place right there, and if we continue, if we would go up from here, that's actually a bearish looking candle, but we still actually gained a little bit today, so that's the kind of thing that would throw off a lot of people. And if we continue to go higher from here, eventually we're going to break these highs, so these pivots. And actually you can see this one here, as long as this turns into a pivot, or if this continues higher and then turns into a pivot, regardless, I think we're higher than this little intermediate or minor level pivot. Gold, GLD. Looks to me like we're finally acting like a trend. It was acting a little bit like it was going to roll over and die and possibly be a head and shoulders pattern. And if it did that, we'd go from this peak to about down here. That would be the target for a similar looking head and shoulders pattern. But it looks like we're possibly going higher, and I am not in this trade right now. But we're up 1, down 2, up 3, down 4, up 5. 1, 2, 3 pushes higher. This one looks like it's equal to that one. I think I'm going to steer clear. Just did that a little bit of work out loud. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking out loud while I'm going. This is this neckline. This is the actual gold futures contract. This is one of these trend lines that I drew where it breaks to the downside, comes up, retouches that trend line, and the next move usually will be a rollover, and so it comes back up to re-kiss the trend line. And one of the adages in the market is like it's a kiss goodbye, because then it rolls over. And again, our target will be down here. It's the distance from the top of the head to the neckline inverted to the bottom, and that would get us back down into this level down here. This might be a place to think about shorting. So, and if I do it, I'm not going to do it here. I'll do it with a put on the gold contract. I'm going to put an alert on here so I can know what gold's doing relatively first thing when the market opens on Monday. And if I'm able, I can evaluate it and place a trade if that would be what I want to do then in the moment. So, all right, that's gold. We looked at oil. All right, that's enough. Let's go to stockcharts.com and type in bullish and quickly go through the bullish percent indexes. The industrials didn't move. The NYA up 0.27%. The transports didn't move. The NASDAQ uh, basically didn't move. It's up 0.02%. The SPX is in a column of O's. I think it just rolled over yesterday, and it went down 0.27% today. So not very much. The OEX rolled over within the last day or two, I think, as well, and it didn't move today. And then the NDX actually went up by 1.39%, which gives me pause because my thesis over there about things kind of unwinding to the downside, going back to the clean chart of the SPX, all this walking back and forth is, and then today's action on the bullish percent indexes actually looks relatively bullish. So, however, I could consider these spikes in price and then a pullback to be really just a probe back into this level of where traders would put orders above that level to get long, and then this would pull them back underwater, or to get out. So it could be like a stop, and they got stopped out. So it could be a stop hunt or a probe into that area. So we'll have to see where it lands, but it is. It really still looks pretty prime for a pullback, if you ask me, just because this move was so fast, and we've only unwound a little bit so far. There are some other tools. I'm going to probably have to do a little dive over the weekend and take a look at some of the exhaustion tools and see if we're exhausted up in this level. It, this stochastic down here only shows you kind of a short-term look at it. I can look at a longer-term look at it, and I can also look at some volume, and we can see, like I say, if there's any other hints of exhaustion up in this area. The bullish percent index charts are generally high, and they look like they want to unwind a little bit down to the downside. And I guess again, what I'm saying is I'm not expecting like a crash or anything from here. Although a real crash, getting it down to here in just a week or so would feel like a crash, and that would be a great place to buy. So if we get the right signals to buy. So that's what I got for the night. That's what I got for the week, and that's my weekend review. Everybody, hopefully you have a great weekend, and we'll catch you again in next week's trading.